The following may contain language which will be offensive to some people and inappropriate for children. Still here? Then pour your favorite beverage and let's get this fucking show started.
Forum, assemble. You're watching Fantastic Forum, the premier show about comic books and your live weekly conversation about entertainment and geek culture. We are the Fantastic Forum, coming to you live and direct from the Hall of F. Hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, as the case may be, depending on where you are in the world. And if you're not, you should stick with us. We'll help you take it up a notch. You have the usual suspects in the building. First, he is our intrepid senior reporter. He's next in line for the cowl. He's our resident Dark Knight detective. It's Oz.
Oh, I'm still pouring my favorite beverage. Not really my
That's
favorite,
fair.
but it contains 5% of my favorite beverage in it.
Next, he is the backbone. He's the pillar. He's the strength of Fantastic Forum, our nigh invulnerable brawler and resident strongman, Moses Magnum.
Yeah, it's a cold winter here, man. We're at blistering, what, 72 or something? I thought I was going to be worried with my 60. Yeah, I thought I was going to be worried with my AC not working, my heat not working in my car, but it's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, my car's engine has its own heater.
Your what does?
My car's engine has its own heater.
Oh, jeez, what?
Because antifreeze isn't enough.
Okay. I guess not.
Plug it in at night. You plug it in at night, and then it makes it so it'll turn on the next day.
Man.
Oh, goodness. Next, he is our riddle. Inside of an enigma, trapped in Chinese finger cuffs. You don't know him. You love him anyway. He's our silent assassin, Jay.
Hey.
And as for myself, my name is Lawrence Young. They call me Mayor Young. Welcome to Fantastic Forum. We got a great show for you today because we are going to be talking to you all about sex and violence, the comic book, number one. Because we talk about sex and violence regularly.
I thought we were doing both of them.
No, are we doing? Oh, I thought we were only doing number one, but
I thought that's why we had 2 weeks to read.
No, but we changed that last week.
Oh,
that's
I blame Joe. I blame Joe.
Well, Joe already
being
bought
here
those,
last
right?
week.
Jay, you had already bought those?
I had the first one because I liked the cover.
Right.
But when you said we were going to buy or we were going to review both of them, then I bought the second one.
Okay.
Well, we can still talk about it.
But I mean, either way, you still we had it in the drive. Like,
what?
I had a copy for you in the drive.
Yeah, but how does that equate to me owning it?
You downloaded it,
right?
Nah,
it's DRM free.
He's like
blockchain.
Yeah.
No,
Fantastic Forum chain.
I need to buy it, and I need to support the artist.
Is that what the F in NFT stands for? Fantastic.
Yeah, it's actually our logo. It's N.
Oh, I didn't. It's all coming together. It all makes sense now. We're also going to be talking to you all about.
No, I was going to tell Joe if he's cool with buying it, then fine. But he didn't have to if he didn't want to.
I mean, I like Jimmy Palmiotti. I wasn't a huge fan of censorship, but I like Jimmy.
We could talk about all of this when we talk about the book. Like really, we could talk about all of it. What we won't talk about when we're talking about that book is the other book that we're talking about, which is Saga 55, The Return of Saga. So we're going to be talking about that, and of course the latest in comic news and whatever else it is that you all want to talk about. and we'll tell you how to do that in just a moment. But first, we want to make sure that we thank Mr. Scott Rubin, who without him, the show would not exist. So thank you, Scott Rubin. Hope you're doing well. And yeah, do we want to play do we want the intern?
Call Fantastic Forum on Skype and join the fun. Too shy to call in? That's okay. You can join the Discord chat room available at
fantasticforum.live.
Join the party. You know you want to.
Indeed. Thank you, intern. Appreciate you. Yeah. So I know that we got books to talk about. What else? Anything else that you all want to mention or just put out there before we get into these reviews?
Yes. Go ahead, Mo.
I was just going to ask, I don't know if we got to this or not, but when we did news last week, did we talk about Why the Last Man? Like, they didn't find a place for the second season?
We mentioned
I think
that.
you mentioned it.
I think we went.
Yeah,
we didn't go.
I'm pretty sure you did.
I just wanted to make sure I brought that up.
Mo was like, let me rub in Why the Last Man's television show failure as often as I can. Like, he's like, oh, does the creator know? What about the stars?
Well,
Do they know?
The creators
should we at them?
Yeah.
Say what?
Well, because it's Brian K. Vaughan too. So, and Saga is supposed to be a TV show, but we'll see how that goes.
Listen, we need Saga to remain a comic book for a little while before we start trying to focus on TV, right? Like, it's like I feel like when I was looking at that joint, I was like, man, Saga hasn't come out since 2018. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
and people have been clamoring for that joint,
dude. Yeah, I mean, I'm one of them, but anyway, we'll get to that in a little bit.
We will get to it. What were you going to say, Jay?
Oh, I was going to bring up a tweet that Eric Larson tweeted out, basically calling Lawrence selfish and saying that he basically wants to basically you want to break all the toys in the yard before all the kids have a chance to play with them. And he wasn't talking to you, but he was talking to someone who feels the same way you do, that comic book characters should age and retire.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people are standing with them, like it's selfish. Like these icons belong to everyone. Like basically the kids now would never have gotten to experience Superman if he had retired back when he was created.
Yeah.
See, I disagree with that simply because it's like my whole thing is, it's a simple thing, right? It's like good stories have endings. Good stories have beginnings, middles, and ends, and it's like it's not to say that a character can't exist in perpetuity. Superman's actually a great example of that. Like Superman, because of the character that he is one of the few characters that you like. Me, my kid, my grandkid, like they can all experience Superman, great grandkid, because Superman in his DNA literally will probably last throughout all that time, you know? But at the same time, it's like Superman exists right now, and we already have legacy heroes with his son. And that's more so my thought process is like, it's like there's nothing wrong with a hero that actually has an end to their story and another hero there to pick up that hero's mantle. So it's like my Superman could be Clark Kent. My kid's Superman can be friggin' Jonathan. You know what I mean?
But see,
and
that
they
would
still both get to experience Superman. Why is that weird?
Because then when you oh shit, did I? Sorry, Larry. I hit the wrong button.
It's okay. It's okay. I got you. Boom.
Yeah, there
what happened to Oz? He okay? Did you knock him off too, or is
no?
Oz just
I don't know. Maybe.
No, I'm just joking. Probably not. But I'm sure Oz.
Nah, it'd be weird because then it's like when your kid tries to tell you some canon shit and you're like, fuck you, son. You don't know shit. Like, and it's because you're not sharing his Superman.
No,
So
but
that
you can
means
share
you
his
would
Superman
both.
too.
That means in your nerd fight with you and your son, you would both be right technically, and that can't be right.
Well, no, but it's not true. He's right about his Superman, and you're right about your Superman, and you can share the current Superman if you want to stay current. But you don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like that could be, and I don't personally, I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. But it doesn't need to be like that. It's fine,
No.
But
I'm not saying it needs to be like that. Like I guess Eric Larson's point of view is very valid. Just like I know some of you all feel that it. Well, I feel like I'm in the minority. I might be the only one that actually might be like, oh, I think it might be better that way. But I'm just saying, I feel like it's one of those things where we think that that's the way it should be because that's the way it's been. It's not like, and it's not like that's the way it is for every hero. I mean, like, Rising Stars did that, right? Like those heroes had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that was it. Yeah. And it's like if somebody wanted to revisit that universe, they might tell a story of different heroes in that universe, but it's not going to be the same people that had been there from before. And honestly, I feel like the only heroes that we think about this or think this way about, like when Eric Larson says, "Oh, you're being selfish," he's not talking about Midnighter. You know what I'm saying? He's talking about
icons.
Right. And that's the whole thing where it's like, but it's not even when we say icons, I mean, we're only talking about like maybe a couple dozen heroes from the big two. It's like there's not anybody out there that's like, oh man, you can't mess around and kill off Jack-O-Lantern. You're just being a selfish prick. It's like, no, you're talking about like 24 heroes that you think are iconic. And that's fine, but keeping in mind too, it's like some of us think other heroes are iconic too, and nobody's coming rushing to the defense of messing around and saying like, oh man, you got to make sure that somebody has Battalion from Stormwatch out there, so that if I decide I want to do a Battalion story, 15 years from now, he's still around for me to do that. Like nobody's saying that. Because they're like, who gives a damn about Battalion? It's like, okay, well, it turns out it's me and like 6 others, and that's it. So yeah, I can respect the opinion. I really can, because I like, but at the same time, it's like we've already like. I feel
you don't need every comic to be that, right? Like, do you want every comic to be that? Like every hero?
Well, it's not so much I want every comic to be that. I'm just saying that I think that comics wouldn't suffer as much as we think they would if they were like that. The Flashes are good examples of that. Like there's some people who, like Wally West is their Flash. You know what I mean? Like that's the Flash to them. And it's like I mean, think about it. Think when a lot of people, if you ask who the Flash is, they're gonna say Barry Allen, but that's not the first Flash, right? So it's kind of like, like Flashes already do this, and yeah, like people are excited when the Flash that they like comes back and is able to do that. But if we messed around and like say Wally West was the Flash right now, and there's no Barry Allen, and there's no oh geez, I might even what's Golden Age Flash's name again?
Jay Garrick.
God. So disappointed.
Jay Garrick, thank you.
Not surprised.
Don't be disappointed. If don't be disappointed. Answer the question, because you forgot too.
Lawrence,
you forgot too.
It's not that I'm disappointed. It's that I'm angry.
You had to have the anime guy tell you who the Golden Age Flash was just now. Oz, I saw that. I see the look on your face.
He had a delayed response because of his disgust. Yeah. Like he almost threw up. He's like,
right. Okay.
And then that's
right.
what we started.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is, if there was no Jay Garrick, like if we hadn't made a Jay Garrick story in 10, 15 years. They hadn't made a Barry Allen story in 10 and 15 years, which actually happened at one point, right? It's like, you know, like there would be people that are like, oh, Barry Allen is my Flash, but they would still be reading Wally West. And it's not like Wally West feels like any less the Flash than Barry Allen. He's just a different Flash. And I think that that's the kind of thing where if you're telling good stories, you can do that like in perpetuity to a degree. Like in the same way, like who's your Flash that you like, Jay? Bart, right? Bart Allen?
Yeah, Bart Allen.
Yeah. If Bart Allen became like, which I'm pretty sure Bart Allen did become the Flash at one of these points. I don't remember when exactly, but
yeah, he
not
was
to the same degree. Like, yeah, but not to the same degree Wally West is or was.
Correct.
You know, but if Bart Allen became the Flash, and that's who we're telling stories about, you would just keep reading that. Or in fact, you probably might even read it more because you're like, that's the one I like. You know, and so I think like if we had that kind of thought process about it. And especially like if we're talking about like real time, then you could really say like, okay, well, no, this guy is going to be Flash for like the next like 50 years. And then after that 45, 50-year period, we got to move on to the next Flash. And you can have your highs, your lows, your favorites. But, you know, I don't know. I if I was making comic books, that's how I would think about it for my own characters. Now, keeping in mind, of course, that the characters that I create wouldn't probably be icons or at least or couldn't, I guess they can't be icons in the same sense as
I think
so
just
basically
one of them,
you would be like Eric Larson.
Yeah.
Why would I be like Eric Larson?
Because he does comics where the characters age in real time. Him and Kurt Busiek do.
Yeah.
Kurt Busiek does Astro City and Eric Larson does Savage Dragon.
And he doesn't read any of those comics.
I haven't read Savage Dragon or Astro City in quite a while. This is true, but I guess
like you,
it's like
so you haven't read Astro City since it was at Wildstorm. Like Wildstorm went and died, it got resuscitated, and then you know Astro City came back, and you haven't read it like when it came back, right?
I feel like the first time it came back, I think I did read it, but not since then. Like that's probably been like 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Well,
it's been going on.
Maybe that was then. Has it? It's been going on continuously since then.
I think so. It's just not on a regular schedule, but it is. Yeah, that's the only issue. But
yeah, man. But so then, why does Eric Larson do his comics like that if he doesn't feel it's selfish with his characters?
Well, he does go into the philosophy, and this Twitter thread is all over the place. So it's hard to key in on the exact tweets, but basically he goes on to say, and I'm paraphrasing from memory because I can't find the exact tweet, how Marvel and DC could, you know, try this, but fans have shown time and time again that that's not really what they want.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like, I agree that fans of the big two definitely demonstrate that, like, the things that people complain about are things that they do because they work, right? Like when they do the relaunches and the like number one, like every year and a half or year, it's like people are like, why don't they just keep the numbering? But it's like people rush out to go buy number one. So why would they change that, right? I will say that it's one of those things where I feel like this, like most things when you're talking about like innovating, it's like you don't ask people what they want all the time. Sometimes you give them what they don't realize they wanted. You know,
he also says that the creatives aren't as creative now.
I mean,
I believe it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That could be so.
Well, the thing is, if they're making a living, it's a committee. You know, like there's a plan for a universe, and there's a, you know, like, honestly, if you really want to get creative, you gotta just make a licensed property into a TV show. Because, man, that Peacemaker, I'm glad James Gunn go read comics, because that last episode was amazing. So, and
it was a good episode.
It's because it's like he doesn't have, like, if the DC entertainment universe wasn't so disjointed and didn't know what the fuck it's doing with the characters, that would be boggled down by some continuity or something, or they could do it right. But then, I mean, we have that example already in MCU, more or less. But the fact that everything in comics right now has to go through editorial and stuff, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, Larry, that story that Scott Lobdell told you, where he had Bane and they changed it to Killer Croc because they had to use Bane as part of the New 52 thing somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And he got to the point where they drew Bane and then they just swapped it out last minute because they changed on an editor changed on another thing. And it's like the dialogue is for Bane, like you read it in that accent, but it's Killer Croc saying it, So it's there's definitely a lot of that could be desired in because of these editors now and these big big two universes. But that's not to say that they're not putting out good things. But like just the perfect example of not knowing what you're doing, Wonder Woman 1984. They're putting out good things, but they could be better. We just don't know how better they could be. The ones that we're enjoying,
right. And I think that's what it boils down to, where it's like, I mean, I feel like a part of what Eric Larson's talking about in regards to like, oh, well, don't be selfish about these characters. And it's like, that plays into how creative you can potentially be, because it's like, you can't tell, like it, when you think about, like, for instance, look at like Skybound, right? Like Walking Dead has iconic characters at this point, but those characters have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's like, and that was always going to be the case. And it's like, it's interesting because, like, when you think about, or when you talk about, I remember Kirkman talking about how when they didn't cut Rick's hand off in the TV show, because they were like, people were like, oh man, that's gonna cause a lot of issues. And, Kirkman's like, yeah, I kind of know, because I've had to write this guy doing all types of stuff with just one hand. And I've run into a lot of problems myself. But, from his perspective, he was writing a story, being creative, and like, what would be crazy, what would happen next? And, the consequences be damned. And that's kind of more in line with what real life is like, right? People, things happen to them and they adapt to it, and you figure it out, or you don't. And it's like, but when you're talking about, oh, don't be selfish, man. Like, you got to let everybody be able to play with all the toys in the sandbox or toys in the toy chest. It's like, well, how consequential can the things you're writing be? How much can you shake things up and make the status quo different if I got to make sure Spider-Man is here 50 years from now so that, somebody else's grandkid can write him? So it's like, you can't have it both ways all the time. It's like, to a degree, I mean, or at least let me put it like this. Like,
you leave Spider-Man out of
it. I'm just saying, man. It's like, like it would make it. Think about how many interesting Spider characters we've had at this point.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not saying that Spider-Man himself needs to get out the way or anything. Because I love Peter Parker. I'm just saying, you could have given like Peter Parker a finite time span and let somebody else be Spider-Man or woman or whatever next. You know what I'm saying? Like, it could have, like,
you're not talking about Mayday, are you?
We could be talking about May. We could be talking about any of the two Spider-Women. We could be talking about friggin' Miles Morales. We could be talking about anybody. You could be talking about friggin' right now. Peter Parker isn't even Spider-Man. Right now it's friggin' the clone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's like we know that
behind.
Peter. Oh, well, I'm telling you, it's the clone right now. But I'm just saying, like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that that's necessarily. I'm not saying that's necessarily the greatest of of ideas, but I'm just saying that instead of having a universe of people that like where you have like basically like almost a dozen people that all have spider powers, you could technically have each of those people one at a time. And it might make for more interesting stories because it's like you can look back and be like, oh man, if Peter Parker was in this situation, he would have done it like this. But it's not Peter Parker anymore. Now we're dealing with May Parker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that would, but it's hard. Like people don't want to let go of things, and I'm not mad at that. Like I'm not knocking anybody because Lord knows that there's definitely some situations where I would feel that same way too. Where it's like, no, I want to read the old stuff, but just because you move on doesn't mean that old stuff is gone. It's like because you can still technically tell other stories in that time frame.
Well, one thing that we can agree on is that we disagree a little bit and agree a little bit on this because I love Hellboy. Yeah. I love Hellboy. Like, had a finite story, and then I still get Hellboy like in this year, summer of 48, summer of 56, and then, whenever he feels like Mignola feels like giving you a good story, and it works. Now
it does.
Look, Hellboy isn't he's iconic, I feel, but he's not like a Superman, but but he's one of the closest to be an icon, to have the finite story and still be able to
absolutely
give you stuff,
But Hellboy, like in a way where Hellboy is like Superman, is that the character himself has a long lifespan. Yeah. It's not like, and so you can tell Hellboy stories at different points in his life for almost as long as you want to, but it would not surprise me if at some point, like Mignola tells the last Hellboy story. No, not run out, but just be like,
Nice.
He'd just be like, this is the end cap. And I could totally see him doing something like, this is the final Hellboy story. I told the first Hellboy story. If you all want to fill in little gaps in between, feel free. But this is what I did, and that's the Hellboy story. And, anything that contradicts the stuff I did in between those two things, you can't do because I already told those stories. So, tell whatever stories you want in between. But, at some point, he might just be like, this is the last one, and I'm done. Yeah. But, I will also say, but keep in mind too that in my mind too, I'm kind of like, if I did my own comics, I'd probably let my heroes age in real time and tell their stories, and I would probably think about like upon my death or something like that, letting those heroes go into public domain. And in that way, it's like,
like, would you? But
like
in your little comic universe, the Larryverse, would you?
I'm not calling it the Larryverse.
would you kill off and then later on resurrect characters? Like obviously,
I would do it.
Obviously, not all your characters are going to live for the entire run. If you're trying to be realistic,
right?
Are you going to?
I would do that sparingly. I would do it sparingly. Like like
my experience with it, I'm not a huge Savage Dragon guy, but I was a Hellblazer guy, and that's what they tried to do. And Constantine is a character. I mean, he goes to hell a lot, comes back, goes back. So he has that trope of death and resurrection, but they still try to do that. Hey, he's aging in real time. It's just, he spent this much time in hell, and so time in the real world has moved forward, and that's how they kind of got around that. I don't know if they're still doing that. I haven't read Hellblazer in a while. If it's even still coming out, which I'm not even sure. But that's what I was thinking when Lawrence was talking nonsense.
Well, and then Constantine also adds that other aspect, like the Superman, where it's you could tell his story for a longer period of time, a little bit, because he can, spells and shit. But the only thing stopping him is he's got no kids. But there's stories that are like in Sandman, his like great 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 grandmother is in it, like doing what he does, and Joanna Constantine in like the Dark Ages. So, and there's other ones in different periods of time that have like the gift he has, and they tell you similar stories or stories that are different people doing what he would normally do in different time periods. What are you gonna say?
Well, he doesn't. I get that they're going with his great, however many. Obviously, she's very great grandmother. But character like that, you really don't. You don't need that so much because he can have an apprentice. He had somebody teach him.
Yeah, but I think it's something that's.
I think people want the name though, which is what I think you're getting.
The name, but also it's because of his ancestors. It's something that is almost
like
hereditary. Yeah. Because I think like one of the first Rasputin type was like a Constantine.
Yeah, I just have questions about the Larry verse.
Yeah,
I would definitely use it very sparingly because I want the deaths to feel consequential. But every so often there could be a character or two that maybe fake their own death or something like that, but it wouldn't be a lot of actual resurrections. It would have to be like a character that either has like some sort of, because of their natural abilities, they seemed like they were dead, and maybe, or not natural, but because of whatever abilities they have, they seemed like they were dead, but they were not. But like most people, I think, exactly. But most people, no, if they die, then I'll probably just roll with that, just because, in my mind, it's like, I would be trying to tell a story with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and the death plays a role in that story. So it's not to say that no one could ever come back, but probably not often.
Yeah, it's like why Uncle Ben can't come back.
I mean, and here's the thing, though. It's like it's nothing wrong with people coming back. It's just that
there's wrong with Uncle Ben
enough. Well, okay, that's fair, but let it serve a purpose that make the return feel as consequential as the death does. That's where people go wrong, because it's like it feels like they bring back somebody because of the toy chest thing. Somebody's like, oh, I want to use such and such, and they're like, oh, well, such and such is actually dead. It's like, oh, well, can we bring them back? I guess. And then they tell some little story that can, before the run that they want the character for, they like hire somebody, some writer, to be like, hey man, we need you to figure out a way to bring back such and such. And they're like, who? It's not like they're like, oh man, I've been, like it felt like, for instance, in the first, well, not the first, but in the Whedon Astonishing X-Men run, it felt like bringing Colossus back was a main part of that was a part of the story that was trying to be told in that run. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, and the return of Colossus felt like heavy. Like it felt like, and it was because Colossus's return is juxtaposed with Kitty Pryde being taken off the board, So it's like these fools, finally, Colossus comes back, and he and Kitty finally feel what they want to feel for each other, and before they can actually have that connection again, now Kitty's gone, and it's like, oh, you know what I mean? It felt like there was a reason for all that stuff to be happening, as opposed to just somebody saying oh, we should bring Colossus back. and nobody having a plan for that. You know what I mean? And so that's all it is. Another good example is friggin' Bucky. Like when they told that Winter Soldier story, it was like that felt consequential and for like it was a reason for him to come back. But you know, not just like random people come back because we want to use them.
Yeah, like Jason Todd, he comes back. It's consequential.
No, I mean it was. Yeah.
We should probably move on to our comic. So.
Yeah, you're right. All this to say, Eric Larson's wrong. No, I'm joking. I'm playing.
Speaking of characters that seem to age and progress in the story, Saga seems to have been able to accomplish that so far.
Yeah,
I like Saga's definitely not aging in real time because.
Well, not real time, but the characters.
Well, no, kind of
aging. Like the first Saga book I read, that kid was just born.
Right, and she's 10 years old now, and it's been 10 years since it came out.
Oh well, there you go. Never mind.
Larry's
I stand
Shit.
corrected. Saga.
Yeah.
Saga's aging in real time. Yeah, let's talk about Saga 55.
Woo! Comic book
review.
Comic book
like review.
Well, not like that, but like.
Saga 55, Brian K. Vaughan, Fiona Staples. Brian K. Vaughan, of course, writing. Fiona Staples doing the art. It's the return after almost 4 years. Moses, why don't you tell us what you thought of Saga 55?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. It's I hate the fact that they take these breaks, and they took this break after issue 54, and they're like, "We'll see you when we see you," you know. And then the world changed. The world took a different turn, and then the creators' lives took a different turn. And every time I kept seeing the fucking Fiona Staples variant of something, I'd get so mad. But then I was happy when she wouldn't update her Instagram because she's not drawing a bunch of shit and not making Saga, you know. And but the thing is, I hadn't caught up yet, so it gave me it gave me time to caught up. I think I was like 20 issues behind. And I read those over the pandemic, and like that year we were like closed. So I caught up there, and man, catching up. I don't know how I could have done it month to month with those little breaks after every like 8 issues or so. I don't know how you people did it, but then I'm like, okay, so it should be coming any time now because I'm already like caught up, and nah, it didn't. It still took another 2 years, you know. And hey, look, it felt so strange going back to issue 55 because it's like turning the next page. It wasn't like I was expecting this big, like, oh, they're back, double-sized issue. You know how comics do, and they're not. It's just like if they would have waited a month, it's like what you would have gotten that month. And so I'm not gonna say I was let down by it because that's just the vibe that fucking Saga gives you, you know. But as far as we know now, you know, spoilers, you had 4 years to read it, but Mark is dead. So, or maybe, we don't know. Like, they only show a skull, and but we don't know, you know.
We know.
Do we?
We do.
I feel like we know. Like I can't imagine.
I wouldn't trust it if it was the Larry verse, but in the Saga verse, it happened.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems consequential, and it just, you know, the fact that the little girl Hazel is narrating it. It's like, yeah, this is a story. My dad died. This is the story of how my dad died. You know, and then you know I've been rewatching How I Met Your Mother. And it kind of reminds me of that, the way the story is here. You know, it has that similar storytelling device. And I'm like, okay, so I know she's okay no matter what, but it's like you're still watching. You know, you don't know how old she is when she's telling you. So everyone that you're reading about that you like is probably dead at the end of the book. But we are at the halfway point, and it picks up right where it left off, and right where like the book just has. It has an interesting way of telling you this story, just with the dialogue, the way people talk, and usually when people talk too real in a fantasy sci-fi thing, it throws me off. But with Saga, it just fits. And then I've said this before, but that it just fits. And there's just this one scene where fucking the what's the girl with the horn, the ex-fiance, the one that was mad. I don't know her name. But when the will goes
Gwendolyn,
back,
I think.
Gwendolyn, yeah. When the will goes to her and she finally sees the will after he was fat, because they did the fat Thor thing before Thor. And yeah, and then they're talking about, Sophie, the little sex slave that he freed, and she's like, "Are you gonna stick your dick in me or what?" And he goes, "No, I don't want to." And then the cat's like, "Lying." Yeah, because it's a lying cat. Like, man, I miss Saga like that. Those little moments like that are part of what makes the reading experience really good.
No, yeah.
And I don't know what else I can say about this issue other than I read it all the way to like the barcode on the back cover, even the letter. Even the pro section. Yeah, the pro section without any pictures I still read, because it's like, I don't know, man. What if they decide to take a break between issues?
Jay, what about you, man? What did you think of Saga 55?
It was Saga. It was great. It's like I feel this. I feel about Saga the way I feel about Conan. It's like I don't really need to read it at this point. Like I know it's just going to be the same old thing. I just happen to like Saga's thing and dislike Conan's. But I already knew this was going to be a 5-star book when Mo said Saga.
So then, why do you sound less excited about it? like, don't get me wrong. I get that you're saying, you're not surprised by the quality of the book. I get that, but when you say I don't need to read Saga because it's going to be Saga, like that means like you understand how good it's going to be, and you're just like, why would I do that? Like, let me take a chance on something else, or what?
Well, I'm behind, so it's like,
oh, okay.
I haven't really gotten, like, I've been meaning to start Saga, but I haven't yet. And this had like a major spoiler in it. And I'm like,
damn this book for being the last part of of the story. Like,
but also it's like
referring to stuff that comes before.
Honestly, though, it gets repetitive. Like, it's one thing to read a book and love it. It's another thing to constantly read this book and love it, like, or to talk about it, because it's like, I feel the same way about this review as I did the last time we reviewed Saga. Oh, except for it didn't have that little, that guy, like, what did I do? Like, that was special. But, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's just a 5-star book. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just a lack of surprise. I knew it was going to be 5 stars.
Got it. Okay.
Like, I didn't know we were going to get as much nudity as we got. But I think that's probably because I'm not caught up on Saga.
Yeah.
Like, I know it does have nudity, but this had a lot. It felt like a lot for the return.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And I did enjoy that. So, yeah, it's Saga 55. It's just means now there's like 54 other books I gotta read.
Wait, how far behind are you?
1.
Like I read issue 1, And I read the issue you made us review with the guy that's like, what did I do? And
like maybe like 42 or 43 or something like that.
Yeah. And then I have to read the rest.
Got it.
Hey.
Got it. No, you're gonna enjoy that when you get the opportunity.
Well, look, after this, I got a Mo deal for you. So don't
there it is.
Yeah. You get to own it.
Oz. Oz, what were your thoughts on this latest issue of Saga?
A lot of nudity. So I'm sitting there, I got my lunch break. I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna read one of these books. I opened up the first one, read a few pages in, and all right, you know what? My fault. It is titled Sex and Violence. Okay, my bad. I get it. That's fine. Let's look at some Saga. Let's see what's going. And then like a 3-page sex scene or something ridiculous, like if that was in a movie, it would be as close to porn as you can get. Like, especially
but
when
they're having a conversation during
right, and it's an important conversation.
Yeah, so you gotta linger on the page.
You can't just sex. Oh, dialogue. Here we go. No, there's a lot. There's a lot of nudity. It's fine. It's well written. I never have any real complaints about Saga. I was surprised that I have no idea what's going on at this point, but the book does a decent enough job of kind of keep bringing me up to speed, both with who the kid is and then a little bit about the conflict that you start to pick up who her dad was, what the conflict is with these different, like the horn people, or I guess they're the moon people, and the winged people, and there's still a lot of questions, but that's because there's 54 other books that kind of get you to this point. But if this is the first book you're picking up, it does a decent enough job of kind of giving you an idea what's going on, which is always surprising for a random issue 55. But I guess they know this because they've been 4 years since their last one, so like kind of like their version of previously.
Mm-hmm. And they also know, they did the time skip, so it's like, which this is, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like this is second or the third time, either second or third time.
But it's not that long. Like, I don't think it might be 4 years.
Yeah, no, it is. It was 3 years. Like, she literally says 3 years ago, my dad died. And so it's like, it does like a 3-year skip.
See, and that's kind of a thing about this book. It made me I thought he died in previous issues, and so it made me want to go back and kind of catch up and see how he died. But now you're telling me there's a time jump, so I don't have to.
No.
You do need to see.
You need to read that issue 54. You need to read issue 54. Like, I should have said 54 and 55. Because I actually went back and read 54, but I didn't read it before 55. I read it after, and I'm like, man, if this would have been the next month book, like after issue 54, like it's on some Walking Dead shit, it's just something big happens, and then you're back to the grind, but with that consequence over, and it's still as fresh as I assume it is for people who read it 4 years ago, or me that read it, 2 years ago. So, but yeah.
No, I
go ahead.
I know you all know me. Like, I don't have the best memory, so I definitely went back and read, went back and read like the last 3 issues just to have a refresher of okay, where are they at in the story and whatnot. And so, and I'm glad I did, just because I did read those and then read 55. And so I was like, but you're right, Mo. It does have a feel like, on one hand, this could have easily been the issue that came out the following month. But it also feels like, okay, a jumping on point, which is crazy, because that's like there's so many books that try to do one or the other of those and fail. Like they don't do a good job of being a jumping on point, or don't do a good job of being the next issue. Yeah, right. And so I'm just like, geez, man, this joint did both at once after a 4-year break. And you know, it's just because that was the whole thing for me too, where I'm just like, you know, Brian K. Vaughan and his books is kind of like, you know, he's almost like Jay-Z for me, where, you know, I listen to Jay-Z music and I'm kind of like, any day now, this dude's gonna fall off. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's gonna make a song and it's gonna be just one too many, and I'll be like, oh, I just didn't like it, you know. And it's like, I feel like that about Brian K. Vaughan sometimes too. We're like, you know, one day this fool's gonna come out with a comic and I'm gonna be like, it's not, you know what? It just doesn't feel like, you know, I like old Brian K, not new Brian K. You know what I mean? And it's like, nah, it doesn't happen, man. This guy, because he's super consistent, and just like you said too, with the having the regular kind of speaking, like a conversation and parlance that you would have in our day-to-day world, but in, you know, the high fantasy / sci-fi kind of setting, it's like it just all fits. I mean, it's fit since issue 1, and you know, and then also too, I mean, luckily, like you said, with Fiona Staples, it's like, obviously we know what she's doing. Like, we see covers, we see her art. So there was no part of me that was like, okay, Fiona Staples might not be up to task. It's like, nah, Fiona Staples stays ready. But you know, I'm just like, man, it's crazy, because I mean, I enjoyed it very thoroughly, and I'm just like, I'm already dreading the next hiatus.
Yeah, because I mean, look, it took, you know, 10 years to get to 54 issues. I might not live another 10, you know.
What's the plan? Like, do you know how many issues? Like you said it, like
it's gonna be 108
issues.
108 issues. Yeah, so that's why you know, it's fitting that we had the Larson talk with the finite character beginning, middle, and end, because you know, Brian K. Vaughan has a beginning, middle, and end for this, and you know, I believe, but I think it's all written, so I think that's why it took 4 years. Like, he finished it all so that he could go, you know, so he could make, you know, work on Why the Last Man TV show, and you know, all that. I don't know how much they consulted him, but he needed to be available.
I wonder why it's 108 issues. Does that like divide evenly into a certain number of years or something, or?
Well, maybe, but it's 54 over 10 years. But I don't think there's a specific. I think when he had an end, he's like, okay, I think I would get it in 108. Yeah.
So like, say if, like, you know, obviously, like, comic books traditionally come out monthly, right?
Right.
So if you had a comic book that came out consistently every month for 5 years, that'd be 60 issues, right?
Right.
So
it's 2 years and 4 months.
What's 2 years and 4 months?
Wait, no, never mind. My math is off.
Yeah. So I'm saying, like, you know, so 10 years, if you did it consistently, would be 120 issues. That's, of course, not taking into, like, say you don't have any annuals or specials or anything like that. I'm just talking about straight, well, you know. So, but I'm like, 108. I'm like, what's that number about? That's interesting.
Well, let's see here. 108 ends up being, let's see, where.
I wonder how many.
Let me see here. Where is this? Where's my calculator? God damn it. Well, either way, it ends up being 9 years.
Okay.
9 years. But if he never took any breaks, you know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
But
yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. I wonder what that was about. Uh-oh. Is that the calculator sound? That's the old. That's the old school.
A motorcycle.
Yeah. Well, they had to have engines back then.
Right.
Yeah, 108 day issues would be 9 years. And
okay.
Wow. But I don't know why he picked that. Like, I mean, because with 100 bullets, it's 100 because it's in the title. It makes sense.
Which was awesome. Yeah, so cool. Yeah, man. But anyway, so, but yeah, the story itself for this book was interesting too, just because it was cool to kind of see where not only the characters are at, but where the world is at too, because obviously the world is in a different place than it was when we left it last. Or maybe I should say this: like the characters are definitely in different places, obviously, with like the with their father not being there any longer and things like that. But and I want to say that it feels like the war has intensified, which may or may not be the case. What I can say is we spent a lot of time away from the war front. Like the book before this point was all about kind of running and trying to keep away from the conflict. And it seems like with this, they're kind of hiding within the confines of the conflict, like trying to blend in a little bit more. So that was interesting.
That's part of, speaking of the whole book, that's part of the interesting thing too. It's for those of you who've never read it, it is like a Civil War torn galaxy, but it's only explained to you through this little girl's perception. So when it's all heated up, she's just a baby and she's telling you what she heard, like third hand, and as she gets older, you start seeing more and more of it. And as she gets older, it's like, well, like people are just fed up with it all around. Like it's not even like the oppression, even like people have learned to live with certain aspects of it and put up with certain shit from it, and others they don't. There's a whole other like underbelly of crime, in it. And it's a weird way to world build, but he got it, like, because ultimately it's a story about these people. It's just a backdrop.
Right.
Brian K. Vaughan does a really good job at just expressing those ideas, and the art helps. You don't have to imagine anything.
Right. That's true. That's true.
We're fighting a monster, but it's a ghost of a little girl that died here. But it's just part of their life cycle. Like it's an organic ghost. How are you gonna draw an organic ghost? Fiona Staples says, "I got it." It works. Yeah. She was maimed like this, and she stayed like this.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. It's amazing stuff, man. Also, too, I feel like both Vaughn and Staples did an amazing job in showing like the nuances of both sides of the war in that like beginning part of that book as well, where like like how you have the soldiers like basically hemming up Hazel and treating her very much like a criminal, like a terrorist. And even one of her own men kind of being like, hey, what are you doing? Like, it's a little girl. Like, why are you, do we need to treat her like this? and you kind of being like, oh man, you know what? Yeah, this is kind of messed up. And then you have like the suicide bomber come in and you're like, oh, geez. Like, this is what these folks are dealing with. And, it's not so much that it justifies what was happening beforehand, but you kind of, it puts you in a situation where you're like, man, these people are acting in a way that's unreasonable, and then you see the events unfold, and you're like, well, maybe they weren't that unreasonable.
Even before that, though, when the lady says, "Look, how old does she have to be to cast this fire spell?" and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, you're right. My bad. Carry on."
Right,
that tells you about, exactly what they're dealing with.
And right after that, she cast the shield spell.
Right,
right when that was awesome.
Yeah. No, it was, and it was just crazy because it's kind of like, it makes it so that on one hand, you sympathize with both sides, and on the other hand, you're kind of disgusted by both sides, which feels very much what Saga's about thematically,
Yeah,
because it's about like the idea, like almost like, hey, when you're talking about a war, there aren't really any winners, there are only losers, and so it was done really well. And and then like even just the scene where you have just the boots left, the smoking boots, and I'm just like, dang, man, like this is crazy. And so I'm just like, and the wild part was that's how we opened the book, and then from there we kind of just went to quiet moments.
Yeah.
It's not like we were like, okay, like here we're getting ready for this action-packed book. It's like they gave you that, and after that it became about the story of a kid trying to get home before their mom to make sure that she didn't realize that she snuck out. It's like, really? Like, that's so crazy. Like that we went from friggin' suicide bombing to that, and it felt natural and exactly like, okay, you know what? I felt satisfied. Like in a lot of circumstances, I feel like a lot of other people, I would have been like, they should have done that the other way around. You know what I'm saying? They should have like started here and then ramped the action up to that, and that should have been the climax. And then in the end, it's like they did it the opposite way, and it felt exactly as it should be, at least to me. So I was just like, man, yeah, it's crazy. It's masterfully done. Joe's right. We shouldn't have reviewed this.
Well, and honestly,
no, I'm joking.
The reason I did is because in the pre-production, we're like, should we do something else? Nobody answered, so I'm like, you know what? I'm adding this because it's coming out. And
no, but I'm glad that we did. Yeah, no, I agree with you. No, I'm just more so making the joke. But with that said, we should go ahead and rate Saga. Unless you all have something else you all want to say about it real quick.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
That last panel was a little off.
The last panel is a little
last
off.
Page. Yeah.
Like the barcode?
Off. No, the picture.
He scanned the barcode.
No, I'm just messing with you. You don't like the way that Home Chick looks?
No, it looks a little weird. Like, I don't dislike it. It's just a little weird.
I will say that I do remember when I was reading it initially, I do remember thinking, I'm like, her eyes look a little funny. Like I don't know if they were like, I don't remember they were too far apart or too close or something. Like I do remember thinking like, oh, her eyes look a little different or a little weird. But the thing is though, it didn't look bad. It just something about it sat a little weird with me, or maybe because they're like one's a little higher than the other. I don't know. But I like the picture. Like I love the expression on her face.
Yeah. And the juxtaposition, like we're smugglers, and then she says we were drug dealers.
Yeah. Yeah. So but anyway, Jay, what would you rate Saga number 55?
Surprise, surprise! It's a 5 out of 5.
That's Joe's 5 out of 5 face.
There it is. Oz, what would you rate Saga 55.
Yeah, I'd probably do 5 out of 5 too. Just don't read it in public.
don't like Oz is currently seeking employment. If anybody has any opportunities.
Depending how your wife is, not in front of your wife either. Like, what are you reading? And why are you touching your penis?
Most Magnum, what would you rate Saga 55?
Yeah, it's a 5 out of 5. It wasn't, I don't know why. I guess because of the big two. I when something comes back after a long time, it's like a celebration. And this one just went right back into it. And I didn't. I don't know why I even expected a celebration, but it is a 5 out of 5. There's no two ways about it. And as far as giving Joe, you're behind. If you go on Comixology right now, you get everything for $54.99. So that's $1 an issue.
$55.
Yeah, you can catch up.
Right. Well, I don't mean to step on your story, but I did go to Comixology, and all their Saga stuff is on sale.
Right.
So I just got the compendium. It's 50% off.
But okay, and that has all 54 issues.
Yes.
Okay, good. So you got that for what? For like $30?
Yeah, like $23.
Oh man, if that's not a deal, I don't know what is. Because that's even better. Yeah. Because you could buy. They have the bundle where you just buy the single issues and it's $55. So it's $1 an issue. But you got the compendium with all those liner notes. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, according to Vaughn, there is stuff I think in the single issues that you don't necessarily get.
Yeah.
In the compendium, like cosplay.
Yeah, letters. Because they used to run contests and shit.
Right.
You're talking about K-Von or Von B?
No, Brian K-Von. It's BK-Von, not Von B.
I thought he was talking about Von B too for a second. I was like, according to Vaughn, I'm like, what is Joe talking to Vaughn for?
I'm not. That didn't.
What do you mean? What for? You don't talk to him regularly?
Oh no, I talked to him. I was just talking about Joe.
Yeah, me neither.
So anyway,
we're like in competition now. Like unbeknownst to him, we're both competing musicians.
Oh, sheesh. You're trying to
because I've got an album out and he just has tracks, like dope ass tracks.
Can we use those tracks or are they copyrighted too?
No, we can use them.
Oh, somebody just pulled ahead.
Yeah. We're gonna make him a Grammy selling. He's gonna get
hilarious.
Yeah.
So good stuff.
I didn't get to play my Mo Money music, so here's a little taste.
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
More money, more money, more money, more money.
That's it. That's all you get this time. I didn't shoot a separate Mo deal for that, but it is a Mo deal. Saga for $23.99 for the compendium, which is great. That's I bought it as a gift, and it wasn't on sale, and it came damaged when I bought it online. So the physical copy. So that $23.99 and it won't get damaged. Like that's tight. Yeah.
Can you get it for that much for that price as a physical copy? Or that's only a digital thing.
No, I mean that's a digital right now because they're celebrating the return. That's probably why I got so hyped. But like let's say Amazon and Saga. I mean, anybody that sells trade paperbacks for like 50% off or whatever, like because they get it's a higher markup, they can do sales. They'll probably sell it for 30% off.
I see it.
That's amazing.
Oh no, that's for digital. The paperback, I see it for $41.84.
Yeah, $41.84.
That's still
The
a good price,
hardcover.
Yeah, I mean, $60 for 54 issues isn't bad, you know. And you have them all in one book, like full price ain't bad, but $23.99 is a lot better. Yeah, that's what you call. That's not a deal. That's a mo deal. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. It's crazy.
What are you gonna say before I cut you off, though?
What?
Say what?
No, what Larry was gonna say something before I played the.
Oh, I was gonna say it's crazy. You know, like Saga is such a like beloved kind of property. Like it's crazy that they haven't figured out making a show for that yet. And I get it because I'm sure that it's going to be like super expensive to do right with all the like there's a lot of effects. You know, it feels like Saga would have to be effects heavy.
But it ain't gotten. I mean,
you could just make it animated.
Nah.
True, but animation costs money too.
Yeah.
Like good animation.
It's gonna take.
But at least it would look good.
Yeah, but that's still up for debate. I mean, we've seen a lot of things get translated, and the animation doesn't hold up to the comic art. You know.
I mean,
get the people that do Invincible to do it.
Yeah, Invincible turned out pretty good, except for the shorts.
Yeah, but they're busy doing Invincible. They can't be doing Saga. Like at this point, you got to get like. I mean, if you do it live, you got to take the Mandalorian route and just do that projector instead of the green screen, like that Unreal Engine with the projector in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, that shit looks good.
You're probably right.
That's the easy way. Like the easy way to do it is with the Unreal Engine and that projector back. So, for a lot of those things, you know, maybe you can go to Daiso and get some fake tile for flooring and stuff. But you know, it'll be all right.
I feel like Prince Robot would be a standout kind of character. I feel like people like Prince Robot costumes would be the biggest Halloween costume of the year that the thing comes out. You know what I
mean? Yeah, but either way, I think who knows? I mean, it'll be like it could be like one of those things, especially like let's say if they do like the first 12 issues as a season, you know, like you're gonna have your people that pick your factions because they don't know what happens because they don't read no fucking comics, you know. So they're like, "Oh, I'm with the Landfallians. I'm with the Moonies," you know, like
right.
You're supposed to be for neither. You're supposed to be for Hazel,
right? Yeah. For Hazel, for the Hazel.
But you know, another annoyance around that time.
So should we move on to sex and violence?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yes, we shall. Oh man. Okay. So sex and violence #1. It's Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray doing each doing a story as far as writing is concerned. And then Mo, help me out here. Who's doing the art for those two stories as well?
I forget the dude's name. I got to bring it up.
It's two different people. I do know that, but
because there's two
separate stories.
We're doing volume 1, right? Yeah. Juan Santa Cruz is listed here for the second story, and then Jimmy Broxton for the first.
Awesome, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And so this is two separate stories that are getting told that surround this. It surrounds the themes of sex and violence. The first one kind of has a bit of a crime noir kind of feel to it, and then the second one kind of has more of a kind of voyeur kind of thriller type thing going on with it. And it definitely lives up to the name, as Oz had mentioned earlier. So Oz, why don't you start? What you don't want Oz to start?
No, Jay has a censored picture here.
Well, we're on YouTube.
Yeah, I was complaining about that 2 weeks ago when you suggested we talk about this.
Yeah.
The digital edition on Comixology that they sell is censored. And I bought it just because I really like this picture. Someone posted it uncensored on Twitter.
Yeah.
And so I bought it on Comixology hoping to own that picture. And it is censored. And I was so disappointed that I didn't want to read the book. And then you wanted to read it for the show.
Yeah. Well,
so I was like, fine. But yeah, I have the censored version.
Like, I mean, we have a censored version that's better somewhere here.
The FF version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll show it to you later. Oz, go ahead.
That cover belied what was in this book.
Right.
Like it's a good book. And yeah, it's like you said, the first story specifically is more noirish, less sex, although kind of sex it is kind of a big part of the story. I mean, it involved like a main aspect of the story is porn. But I guess that would be the violence, because in the story afterwards, it's a lot of sex. It's a lot of nudity. But yeah, it's a couple of stories. They're decently told, decently written. I don't know. Are we gonna talk
We're
about?
Gonna spoil it. This shit came out like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh yeah. We can. Yeah, but you know what? I just want to get your initial impression real quick, and then we'll dig into the story in just one sec. Let me jump to Jay and get your initial impression of the book, Jay.
I'm a little disappointed in me. Like when I started reading, like the first thing that hit my mind was like, oh, this is like Princess. And Princess is a similar story, except there's like a kid involved in like a monastery. But yeah, I don't know. Like sometimes I don't like bringing up stuff just because like it's similar. I just like to enjoy it for itself and not think of what it reminds me of. But yeah, I was getting some major Princess vibes from it.
Okay, and that's a good thing?
Very good.
Okay.
I mean, it's a good story. It's like porn and murder. That's what Princess is. And that's what this story was.
Isn't Snake Eyes that too?
Snake Eyes, maybe. Like 8mm is closer.
Oh, 8mm. That's the one. That's the one I was thinking.
Right.
I remember 8mm. That was a good movie.
Yeah.
So,
but Princess is animated, so the art style. My mind went there first, just because it's art.
Gotcha.
But I did think of 8mm too. But Princess is kind of a better movie than 8mm. Like, and I really like 8mm, and I don't know why this turned into a Princess review, but yeah,
I think you know why.
I know. I just never get a chance to talk about it.
Well, when we ask in pre-production, is there anything we should talk about? You should say Princess.
Yeah.
I feel like I tried to get you to watch it before, but I don't know. Okay, next week.
No,
not next week. Just kidding.
The thing is, no, I'm kidding. No, if you want to do it, I'm down.
So, Mo, what do you think of Sex and Violence?
You get me a noir kill 'em all like type of story, and that's kind of what the first one was. I'm in, and the fact that it's short, it's like just a one shot. Like I liked it. I like the anthology aspect of this. The second one was a little weirder for me, but it was still good. But that first one I really enjoyed, and it did have that 8mm vibe or princess,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But I'll find out. You'll find out next week too. And
there's also a little bit of Sin City in there.
yeah, that's another thing. It had that vibe, and I'm in.
Right.
I didn't even buy this book like that either. Like I paid on Kickstarter for volume 3 to come out, and they gave me the first 2 and a Painkiller Jane story. So we might be doing a Painkiller Jane story too. I know Joe likes that, so I know you like that, so yeah.
I do like Painkiller Jane.
Yeah, so
but not nearly as much as Jimmy.
Yeah.
Like, man, he pushes that joint like
oh, he loves that. Like that's his baby, man. That's his like first creation. Like not like that hack Caseta. Like he don't mention Painkiller Jane ever. Like I wish Joe Quesada would like mention Painkiller Jane a little more often, But no, he's on Larry's camp. That oh boy.
Oh man, but I will say that this book, I think at least from what I'm hearing, it sounds like everybody's kind of like on the page. Like that first story hits pretty hard, and then the second story is, while good, maybe isn't on quite the same level. And
I didn't mean to give that impression. Like the second story was hot as fuck. Like, man, like I know Mo was talking about getting hard while reading earlier. It's like,
no, I was scratching my nuts.
Like, man,
the story is not hot. It's unless violence is hot.
Right, but the second story is hot as fuck.
That's why I call the first story the violence and the second one the sex.
But
I like the art.
Yeah,
I like the art for that one, and I actually do like that little character arc of hers. So the second story follows a police woman who she's stressed, trying to deal with the day to day. Her partner gets his ear bitten off. She fails to stop a guy from killing himself. And she's just like having a tough time and trying to struggle, like trying to get through the struggle. And she ends up spying on her neighbors. Like her neighbors move in and she can see into their place from where she is. And she just starts watching these two, and it becomes like a hobby, and then a little more than a hobby. And she finds herself like really invested in watching these two, and she starts to have feelings for one of them who she feels is being mistreated by the other. And eventually she comes around to you said we're doing spoilers, right? So yeah. Like eventually she goes she tries to help her, but she can't bring herself to it. And when she visits her during a blackout to borrow candles, she notices that she's been spying on her, and they kind of end up hooking up, like after she beats up her ex for her. And it is just really interesting. Like, I love her character arc. I love thinking about the things, like I love her thought processes. Like, and she's a little pervy. Like, she masturbates in public when no one can see her, and she needs a release, and she finally gets it at the end of the book. Like, she's so pent up, stressed out, and it's good to see her like get a happy ending.
Yeah.
After everything she deals with.
There it is. Yeah. I mean, listen, I feel everything you just said, Jay, is true.
How hard did your penis get?
Like, not full on, but it was definitely rising.
It moved.
Yeah.
It moved.
You had blood flow?
Yeah, like I had to keep reading. Like, I had to make myself keep reading because I needed to get it done before the show. Like, so I couldn't like stop and like have fun time or whatever. But you know, like, I wanted to, but busy. Like, gotta finish reading.
Good job.
I guess for me, I was kind of like,
Fantastic Forum always comes first.
Apparently not if you don't have the time.
Jeez. I felt like the second story, which is that the one that Justin Gray did, or did they both do?
No, I think he did the first one. Justin Gray did the first.
Okay, and Palmiotti did the second one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it very much feels like Palmiotti was like putting some stuff on the page that make like that he's into. You know what I mean? Like, it totally feels like a bit of a fetish book. And I don't mean that as a negative, mind you. Like, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying that from like thematically, it feels like what I want to see. Like you described the story as hot. And that is what it basically like it has like it feels like that was what he was going for first, and then making like a good story second, as opposed to the Justin Gray story, the first Nora one, which had like a hot moment or two in it, or actually just one. Yeah. It has maybe a hot moment in it, but it felt more so like right. But it feels more like the theme of sex and violence was what was trying to be put out there first, like, you know, and like the sex and the story, or the story serves the theme of sex and violence, or maybe it's the other way. Maybe so the sex and violence serves the story, as opposed to it being the other way around, where it kind of feels like, yeah, like Palmiotti wanted to see some girls like get down and have another woman watch them, you know, which I'm not knocking. Like, it's almost like if you were watching, like, say, like Skinamax or something like that, you'd be like, man, this is the best Skinamax movie you've seen in a long time. You know what I mean? You know, but it's not like, you know, it's not 8mm. You know, like, that's a different level.
I feel like that's this anthology series. That's kind of what we're getting. Like, for example, like that first one for me had all the vibes we talked about, but also had that true romance vibe, like that like good action movie too, you know, and that happens to have a little bit of sex and violence in it. And this one is like your Cinemax type, self-reflection, self-growth type of story too. So I don't know. I didn't read the second one or third one yet, but I know Jay did.
I did.
How hard did that make you?
It's like how many erections out of 5?
Man, I tell you, there's this one story where a guy is like having sex with this one girl, and she has a daughter, and so the next day, the daughter is like basically trying to seduce this guy, and man, super hot. And then it really pays off the ending, because like I don't want to spoil it for you guys because I know you'll probably read it.
Ah, come on, you're just coming on half cocked now.
Okay, well, basically the mom doesn't come off half cocked, and she shoots the dude in the head, and they bury him because he's not father material.
Man. That's almost like a horror movie in a sense.
Yeah, like it's that great horror twist where you think it's one thing and it's like, nah, they're looking for a daddy and you tried to fuck the daughter, so you're not good.
And they're baiting people.
Family.
Yeah, that's some Texas Chainsaw shit. Man.
Yeah.
So, like,
when they killed them, how
that's like entrapment? Is that what we're trying to?
Yeah. So how fast did you lose your erection when they killed the dude for not being daddy material?
Dude, I didn't.
That was the experience.
Yeah, and it's weird because violence normally does that for me, like makes it go away. But in this one, it really didn't. Like
when that gun went off, so did I.
Like it made me happy. Like I don't know. Like it's just like it was a little unexpected. Like I kind of expected it, but I kind of didn't. And so like, you know, I like violence in my media.
I like violence.
So yeah, I don't know. It meshed really well for me, this.
Okay.
And the daughter is like super cool. Like she's really funny because she's like describing to the mom like how far he got during the seduction, and like when he failed, like when he failed the test, and it's like it's really funny. And yeah, it's just it's just really good.
Are there only 2 stories in that one, Jay?
No, there's 3
as well. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's Ed Bone 1, 2, 3, 4. We're talking about the comic Sex and Violence by Jimmy Palmiotti. It's an anthology series full of, well, sex and violence.
Yeah. Yeah. No mysteries here. So
yeah.
So let's talk about more about the art for the first one. What do you all think about the art for the first story?
I thought it did its job.
Yeah. It was all good all around. Like not maybe the second story maybe a little too like polished. Like maybe they did a little like in Photoshop, just little highlights to accentuate shininess and curves. But other than that, like the first one, like the noir art on the first one, like that's like some 100 bullet shit, like right up my alley. Like it just meshed. That first one meshed so well for me, and the second one, while I did enjoy it, it did have a lot of the more tropey things that you get in these type of comics,
Yeah.
But it's like an exploitation movie from the 70s, like this is like Caged Heat, but in an apartment and Rear Window. It's like Caged Heat and Alfred Hitchcock mixed together, So in that sense, it's a masterpiece. It did its job, and part of that maybe the art style has to go for that feel. It has to go in that. I don't particularly like those highlights too much. I like more of the Fiona Staples art. Color theory, where it's like, okay, her skin's tan, so the highlight needs to be a lighter shade of tan, not just a white, with a little bit of tan around,
It definitely has like the second story has like an Aspen Comics, like 1990s kind of thing going on for it. That it's not a bad thing, Right?
No,
Yeah.
it's not at all.
Exactly.
It's just
it's
if I'm watching a story,
particular style.
like if I'm reading Eve Proto Mecha and I got all those flares going like that, like I'm in. But if I'm watching somebody like a chick take a shower or swim in a lake, it doesn't need to be all that. Now the color theory on the sky though was great. It went there, the landscape that was done really well. I really love that transition of the sun setting, golden sun, and the night and the violet night and cool blues of night coming in like that. They did that really well. But that's not what we're not reading this book for sunsets.
What were you gonna say before, Oz? In talking about the story and I know you were almost concerned about spoiler type stuff before too, but what were you gonna say?
No, I mean I was just gonna talk about what happened in the story, like what like especially the first one, what the plot was. But I think we jumped into the volume 2 that some of us didn't even know.
Right.
No, that's fine. Art wise, I'm not gonna say it's amazing art, but it does its job. The first story that was, like we said, a noir story, and the art reflected that feel, like an old pulpy noir book that you just pick up randomly. This second story, the art wasn't as good, but it was good enough, as we found out, from you guys.
Yeah.
It did its job. Handily.
There it is. So okay, cool.
And you could look forward to more of that pulpy style in volume 2. Cool. We get another story about a guy that is doing something embarrassing, gets caught doing something embarrassing, and so he like kills a person that catches him, and it turns into like a whole kind of mobster Dexter type thing. And it's like done with that like noirish art feel to it. And I know Mo likes dirty art, and so we have another story about Russians training dogs to blow up Nazi tanks, and it's done in like a really dirty style, like an art style. Cool. That I thought it did its job well. Like it made me feel cold.
Is there sex in that story?
No.
Okay.
No sex. There is violence. Nudity. Like there is nudity in the story, but no sex. Okay. Like one of the sniper is a female, and she goes around topless for no apparent reason other than inside. When she's inside.
Oh, okay.
Why don't you just read it, Larry?
I know, right?
I guess I will.
I know he doesn't really like sex and violence all that much. But
I mean, I like it as much as I'm supposed to.
Right. Like
no, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Listen. I'm not taking my advice from you, sticky pages.
Hey, I'm all
They're digital. They can't get sticky.
Yeah.
Oh, they still stick. That's what makes it weird.
iPad screen is non-stick.
It's like, why am I having so much trouble getting to the next page? What is happening? What is happening? It's a glitch. But
now, I got volume. This is a good thing, and it'd be on the lookout for if they do a volume 4. But for issues 1, 2, 3, and then a bonus Painkiller Jane like freebie, that's about 60 pages, I think, or maybe around regular comic size, about 30. It was $15, all digital. No, no knickknacks or nothing. But they did have other rewards that I was like, you know what? I just want to help fund this. And I don't want to clutter. My desk is cluttered. Like if I put the camera down, it's a fucking mess. That's why today I'm using a tighter angle because I got shit hanging off the walls and shit that it shouldn't be on camera. So, but yeah, it's $15 is not a bad deal, man. And that just adds to the review, man. When you can help a creator, independent creators come out on some kind of crowdfunding, man, take that chance. You might get some good shit.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So,
and it's uncensored. They got it on Comixology censored, man. And issue 2 was censored also.
Well, I should say just the cover is censored. Everything else is uncensored.
Okay.
But just that cover, which was the main reason I bought it, that's censored. But everything on the inside and volume 2 are all uncensored.
Cool.
So the downside of digital comics, Jay, it's like they gotta still like Comixology still has to promote their covers, and they're like, we don't have a censored to uncensored version, but I guess they could if they wanted to, right?
Yeah, they could. It's like
censored and then just offer the uncensored on the sale.
Well, the thing is, they don't have to
happen. Like something similar happened with I Hate Fairyland, where I got the digital version of that, and it does not come with the Fuck Fairyland cover, which was lame.
Yeah. And
but I know Scotty's probably not even really into that cover. Like, I'm not sure why he did it, but he didn't seem all enthused about it.
I know Comixology is like, especially like, let's say, like I have unlimited, so I'm paying. It's tied in. You know, they merge my Amazon account with it. They know I'm not a child. They don't need to offer me this thing at all. Like, they have enough information, this data mining that they do with the microphones and shit. They know there's no kids running around and there's no kids using my Amazon account. So
I think they got it that way because I feel like they do have it. Like, there are some covers on Comixology that are uncensored. I think Paper Films just gave it to them that way.
Oh, well, that's that's well,
like, I can't confirm that. Like, maybe I'll ask Jimmy on Twitter.
Yeah, you should do that.
Yeah, you should. It'd be interesting to hear the answer.
Okay, I'll have to figure out how to make sure I sound super respectful because he will block annoying people quick, and I don't want to like get blocked. I like following him.
Who could find you annoying, Joe? Who could do that? It's like you barely speak.
There's this one guy who blocked me because I said you should wait until the age of consent before having sex with someone, and they blocked me.
I mean, you don't tell me what to do.
Oh, schmack. What? Okay, well, I don't know why.
I also got blocked because I'm not offended by blackface.
Never mind, Jay. You're right.
So many choices.
Because look, you're getting offended from both sides of the spectrum. It sounds like so. Like I don't know. I don't know how it is you're managing to offend all these people on Twitter. You're way too vocal on Twitter. You need to shut up sometimes and just read.
Amy Chibi says, "Excuse me, can I ask something?" Yes, go right ahead.
You can, Amy Chibi. In the meantime, let's just do some quick reviews while Amy's asking her question. I mean, not reviews. I'm sorry. Some ratings.
She says, "I wanted to ask how you all managed to look so handsome tonight."
Oh, come on.
I contributed to really poor lighting.
I wish I was lighter so you could see me blush. Thank you, Amy.
Did we rate this book?
No, that's what we're about to do right now. So, Mo, why don't you start, man? Sex and Violence, #1. What would you rate it?
At the value, it's a 4 out of 5. Like, it's good. And I got it for free technically because I would have paid $15 just for 3, and I got 1, 2, and 3. So yeah,
Absolutely. It's a great deal. Oz, what would you rate Sex and Violence #1?
Same 4. I mean, I like the stories. The thing that drops it is that the art in the second story, not bad at all, just not as good as the first one.
Got you. Jay, what would you rate Sex and Violence #1?
Well, I'm gonna rate both as a whole.
Okay, what would you rate?
Since I've done it. And the art ebbs and flows. The stories are varied and fun. Like, I'm not, like I said, the one with the dogs, I wasn't a huge fan of that art. But I think overall, I can give Sex and Violence a 5 out of 5.
No, there you go. And not a Conan 5. Yeah. Oh, no, you give Conan 3.
No, Conan only gets 3.
Yeah.
Like, I accidentally gave it a 4 last time, but I take that back. It's only a 3.
Got it. But this is
Amy
like
Chibi
this isn't even
says, this is a bit of a random question. If you all had met each other as children, do you think you would have gotten along? Fun fact, me and Lawrence did meet as children. We were in the same apartment building, and we were the only kids. And so, since we were 7, we've been hanging out.
7? Jay, you're talking crazy talk, Jay. Like, my sister and I are 7 years apart. I've known you longer than her.
Well, that's true. So, 5? I don't know. I just remember the birthday party at 3 was the first memory I have of you.
Oh, listen, no, man. Like, we've been through way too much. It's crazy. Like, that Jay's the first person I remember that I wasn't related to. Like, without question. Like, it's insane. Like, yeah. Like, literally, legit, I've known him longer than members of my family. So it's weird, but it's true. I will say that the only person I would have questions about is maybe Moses. Like, I don't know if Mo would like.
I didn't like people. I didn't like black people till I was. I didn't like black people till I was 16.
You were so dumb. No, I mean, I just see Mo. I mean, I know, like, I just feel like Mo. I don't know this because, I didn't know you as a kid, Mo. I only know the stories that you've told me and, like, talking to, like, your family and some of your friends. But, you strike me as, like, more of a counterculture kind of dude, even when you were younger. And I don't know if that would have been, like, and honestly, like, I would have probably thought you were super cool. But I don't know that you would have been like, oh, let me go hang out with that guy, because I was very lame as a child. No, I'm dead serious. Like, I was super lame. Like, I feel like, and don't get me wrong, like, Oz, I feel, was definitely cooler than me as a kid too. But I feel like Oz could have. No, okay, well, there it is. Look, well, listen, I feel like Oz and I could definitely get along. Like, we would have had a lot of common interests.
I think we would have gotten along because I'm the kid that was reading comic books during recess.
Well,
so we could have some
too. So yes, okay.
But I'm also the kid that, because of that, I didn't have any other friends, and so I had to develop a sense of humor and be the class clown just to get people to at least leave me alone.
Oh, and that's I didn't learn that until, like, high school-ish.
Well, and see, Larry, so the thing is, like, you see how we, like, us 4, we hung out, and we've hung out in person many times, and you see, we just, when we hang out together, we're just us, and that's kind of how my group was when I was a kid, like in high school and junior high. It was just and I was the only one in, like, I mean, you met Lloyd, like Lloyd was, he's like into metal and punk and stuff, but not like I was, he was into his other shit, and then other dudes that hung out with us, like one of them, like, aspired to be a banker. Like, he dressed like a banker. Yeah, he dressed like a banker all through high school. You know what I mean? Like, he wore khakis.
Now, when you say he dressed like a banker, that means he wore khakis.
Like he wore khakis, like Dockers, and then, like, a plaid like shirt, but not like a flannel plaid shirt, like a short sleeve with collar, with tiny little square like plaid, like just blue. Nah, man, like this dude, like honestly, like when they say the youth pastor line in No Way Home, like this dude was like that. And then now I see him on Instagram and he's there too. He just doesn't have any hair now, and he's like a banker, like. But that was that dude. And to this day, like I chilled with that dude for 4 years at lunchtime until he got a girlfriend. And then when he lost her, he came back. But I still don't know what music he likes. You know what I mean? Like none of that came. Like it wasn't a qualifier into who I chill with. Like,
they play in the waiting room.
He doesn't listen to music. That's way too radical for him.
Right. Yeah. He likes classical.
His favorite song is the Oscar Mayer Wiener theme song.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so I think Larry, we probably would have got along, but yeah, Now,
okay,
I was a lot more foul-mouthed and stubborn back then. So that could have been
more stubborn.
Oh yeah, because that's all. I mean, all my stubbornness and foul-mouth shit is all Arrested Development shit that I'm working through.
This is the moderate Moses that we all know.
Yeah. Like before I liked metal, I liked Sam Kinison and Dice.
Well, listen, we all like Sam Kinison and Dice, right? I mean,
but you didn't dress like
Sam Kinison's cool. Well, no, I did not dress like Sam Kinison. Well, first of all, I went to private school, so I had to wear a uniform. But yes, not even a variation on Sam Kinison, though. Yeah. So, but anyway, but I would also rate the joint. Well, am I gonna? Yeah, I'll give it 5 out of 5 because it's like I did care for the first story more than the second, but all in all, like I feel like the book delivers where it's supposed to. If I pick up a book and it says sex and violence on it and has that cover, I'm like, well, I need you to deliver on this promise, right? And guess what? That's what this book does. It delivers. It like if the book was just the second story, I would have been like, okay, no, like I think that's what's real, right? But because it has the first story in it too, it's like that feels like icing on the cake. So yeah, 5 out of 5. All right, do you all want to get into some quick news before we have to get out of here?
Nah, man.
Anybody got anything that they want to talk?
Unless there's something you really want to talk about, but I got the wrap up music ready if you guys are calling it a night.
You know what?
Did we talk about the green M&M on the show?
I'm sorry.
No.
What?
The green M&M. No. Wait. Go ahead, Jay.
So M&M's decided to make their characters more woke, and they gave the green M&M sensible shoes. And a lot of people, like a lot of conservatives, are pissed. Like Tucker Carlson went on this rant. Like I really think he wanted to fuck that green M&M.
Did it look like this after?
Yeah, like he was going about how they're making her frumpy and like, man. But
isn't the green M&M the same shape with different shoes?
He wanted her. He wanted her to melt in his mouth, man.
Yeah,
and stockings. They put stockings on her, or pants, I guess. Now,
right? She had the stockings.
She used to have knee-high
boots.
Yeah.
Oh.
And she's got the eyelashes, and so she looks like a girl.
Her whole thing was
but
she
now
was like
they're
a
making
diva,
her.
So she was like a pain in the ass to deal with on camera and stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they also did the brown M&M, like they gave her more sensible shoes.
You mean they didn't stop the blackface?
I mean, I'm just like, why does anybody care what the M&Ms are wearing?
I don't know. Like it's weird.
Oh, okay.
Like I know when
I'm sure that I'm not crazy.
When I saw the comparison pictures, I honestly didn't even notice what was different until they pointed out the shoes.
The brown one still has heels, right?
Yeah, but they're lower.
The green one has nurse shoes, I guess.
Yes. And they made the statement about how they want the M&Ms to represent the progressive. Like, imagine the most douchiest woke thing, and that's their reason for doing it. And it's weird because I agree with Tucker. Like, I don't want to fuck the green M&M like he does, but it is weird that they're going through all this.
I don't understand either side of this. Like, I'm looking at the old picture and the new picture, and like I don't know why they made the change, but I don't know why it bothers people that they made it. I don't understand either side of this.
The thing, though, that I do love about this. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
The thing that I do love about this is that there's this asinine saying that conservatives they like to use. It goes, get woke, go broke. And Eminem is not losing any money over this change. Like, no one's going to start boycotting M&Ms. So I love that their profit is going to spit in the face of these assholes.
I mean,
and they're asinine saying, like, I do love that.
I wish people were mad when they canceled the pretzel M&Ms.
They got rid of that already?
Nobody wants that.
Yeah, that shit didn't last. I want that. I love that. It's like you need to take 5, but bite size.
How's the brownie M&M?
I haven't had that yet.
Oh.
I actually boycotted M&Ms when they got rid of the pretzels.
Yeah.
Listen, I will say this. I'll say this. On one hand, it's like, well, look, I got a few things real quick, and I'm gonna hit them. One, I feel like the people, like, I hate to, like, I don't think we should be lumping people that are conservative in with people that like have issues with this kind of stuff. I feel like that's not like a conservative thing, because there's a lot of conservatives out there, and they're conservative. You know what I'm saying? I feel like this is more of like, I mean, I don't want to say a right wing either, but I feel like there should be a distinction made between people that have conservative values.
It's more like a slow news day on conservative news media.
Yeah,
that they
absolutely.
You know,
but right. It's like there's a difference between right wing media and people that hold conservative values, and I feel like there should be some sort of distinction between those two things. But I don't know what the right terminology is, and somebody should figure it out. Like, someone on the right should figure that out. And then, oh, geez, I don't know what's that.
Real quick, Amy
this is about
says,
yeah.
Apparently, the green one was an actual sex symbol among some people, and this change appealed to feminists, but to only one side, mostly the non-binary blue hair type. But there's the other types of feminism. I embrace my sexuality and flaunt it, kind of feminists, and those are the ones getting angry over it.
Wait, non-binary blue hair type of feminist that's like one of the waves? I don't know. That's interesting. I'm gonna go back and unpack that later. The other part I'm gonna say
never saw the green M&M as a sex symbol at all.
Yeah,
that makes me feel like you did.
To each their own. No, I like the one that turned into Danny DeVito.
but what I'm gonna say is also too, there's a part of me that's kind of like, well, like I get, like, you know, people that have mascots throughout the years, changing them periodically. Like, that's something that used to happen all the time.
I'm still mad about Jake from State Farm, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
But I still want the original Mr. Peanut.
Every time you make a change like that, you don't have to put out a press release. And so I'm just like, I don't know what made M&Ms feel like they should, or I don't know if they did it
because they want to appeal to a certain.
Yeah, they're trying to appeal to woke people.
Yeah,
but it's just like why does M&Ms even have to get into that? Like, no, like, M&Ms is like the M&Ms is one thing that we all can agree on, right? Like, we like those.
Apparently, there's an underground
M&Ms doesn't need to take a side, right?
Fantasy stories about the different colored M&Ms.
I'm just like M&M's is probably the only thing the Supreme Court agrees on right now.
Like you need
everybody's
you need to read some Eminem fanfic. Like I'll send you some.
No, I don't. I absolutely don't need to do that.
Like Jimmy Palmiotti is going to have a Kickstarter for it.
Wasn't the brown one originally like
sex and violence and M&M's?
And M&M's.
Wasn't one like a sex counselor at first? I think the brown one was.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, you know what? I think you're right, though. I think you're right.
All I know is,
oh, go ahead.
Is that Billy West does the red one, and I love it. And that's it.
The only other thing I wanted to mention real quick before we go is I saw that The Rock tweeted that he's getting ready to do another video game movie, and he didn't say what it is. And so everybody's speculating, which, you know, people said a lot of different things, and I was just like,
it's Jumanji.
Okay, maybe. It's Jumanji?
Yeah, it's a video game movie. It's a movie about video games. Go ahead. What were you gonna? What is it in your Larry verse that The Rock is doing?
I got a pack for the plane tomorrow. Fuck you guys.
There is a Jumanji game out there, but go ahead.
No, I get it, but I have no speculation of my own. But something that I saw people put out there, multiple people put out there, which I was like, whoa, I never even thought about that. Was people were like, what if he's making a Contra movie? Oh my God. Like, I would love to see The Rock in a Contra movie. Nah. Like, what? Nah? You don't want to see that?
It should be him and Stifler in a Contra movie.
Okay, you know what? I'm back in.
Yeah, right. Right.
Can he gain some muscle?
He does. Well, I mean, look, maybe not as much as The Rock, because he cares about his kidneys and his liver. But
no one's asking him to
I mean, he got buff. Like, he got buff for certain movies. But I mean,
I've never seen it. He's in shape all the time, but I've never seen him like with muscle mass.
Big bulky, yeah. No, I think maybe he can, maybe he can't. But I mean, what do you care? Like, half of these movies don't follow the game all that much anyway. So
no. Let's see. This is the whole thing where it's like I
want them to fight that naked baby fetus thing at the end.
Well, if they didn't fight monsters in Doom, they're not going to fight monsters in Contra.
Well, no. See, I don't believe that. Like, I feel like Doom was made in a different era, Jay. Like,
plus,
like, you make a Contra
Rampage
movie today,
did not turn out good. So we shouldn't even be having him.
Rampage?
We're talking about The Rock doing video game movies.
Yeah, but Rampage is a whole different kind of movie than what Contra would be. Like, Contra, it was based on.
I'm just saying,
stuff.
The Rock plus video game movie is not a good thing. Like, it is yet to be a good.
So you don't count Jumanji.
One, yeah, it's not a video game movie. And two, it was bad. Like, it was legit a bad movie.
Wait, Jumanji?
Yeah.
Oh,
like I honestly don't get what you guys see in either. And the second one was even worse. Like,
I disown you as a friend.
I remember sitting in the theater like, why the fuck did I do this to myself?
You don't understand. The tall, athletic black guy becomes a short, athletic black guy.
It's like, I know I get free tickets, but there was no need for me to do this to myself. Like,
I haven't seen the second one, so I don't know about that. But the first one I really liked.
Yeah, it was not good.
It's more of the same.
Except
Contra,
worse.
The Rock and Contra with somebody else that can take their shirt off and be buff too. I want to see that.
I mean, Doom turned out terrible.
Like, The Rock and John Cena in Contra fighting a baby fetus thing at the end.
Dude, The Rock and John Cena in Contra is that's it. Now it's ruined because if it's not Rock and John Cena, I don't even want to see it now. I'm sorry.
They get along?
I'm sure
I don't care. They get along enough to make $1 million.
Turns
Or
out he's
millions of
making
dollars
dead
together.
or alive beach volleyball.
Dude, if he's Zach, oh my god!
Play the wrap up.
Wow.
Giving you the finger.
There it is. Okay. Jay, give me some final thoughts.
I'm not sure I have any final thought. Like, yeah.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Oz, final thoughts.
Resident Alien is back for season 2 tonight, unless you're watching this like, you know, a year after the air date, in which case you missed it. It's your fault.
Indeed. Moses Magnum, final thoughts.
Big Man 24/7 says, great show, guys. And yeah, look, if you like it, subscribe, hit the bell, all you got to do. And yeah, we'll be here next week. And I think that's it. Oh, we have merch. If you want to buy it, you have to go to fantasticforum.live to find it. The end.
For the entire Fantastic Forum, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. We do appreciate you. Huh?
Do we want to answer Amy Chibi's last random question real quick?
Yes.
Sure,
Oh, listen.
It's me.
If all of a sudden we all turn into female versions of ourselves, who do we think would be the most attractive one?
I think Oz.
Yeah. Comics and the sense of humor.
Honestly, I think it wouldn't be very much different than what you're seeing now.
Including the beard.
Yeah, it's like technically, like from an attractive scale, it's like, what do you see attractive in a woman? Yeah, it's like we'll be just as diverse as we are now, and yeah, I don't know. It depends if you're a chubby chaser or not.
For the entire Fantastic Forum, thank you so much. We do appreciate you. We'll be back next week. Let us know what it is you want to see or what it is you want to hear about next week. Until then, we're out. Catch you next time.
We all already have tits.
Where's that button?
Oh, I think it's me. I'm sorry.
My mouse is acting up.
Oh no, the mouse is acting up. Uh-oh, where's the outro? Oh no. Outro.
Outro before we get more random questions.